What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Let me put down the volume on the music. Let me know how this sounds, guys, as far as the music and my voice. What is going on, guys? I am so excited to finally be back for another Let's Talk Crypto. This is, I think, officially episode 42, I believe. It's been a couple of weeks since I have done one of these. And yeah, I've been going through a lot of things, guys, but I am officially back. And a lot of things have happened since we last got together. So let's go ahead and kind of talk about what we're going to be covering in today's live stream. We're going to be covering a lot of things. So get ready. This is going to be a lot of information, a lot of things packed into this. And I'm going to cover as much as possible, as simple as possible. And so that you guys can understand it as easy as possible. So we're going to be taking a look, of course, at the overall market, what is going on. We're going to take a look at the top gainers, top losers over the last week. We're going to look at the economic calendar. Then we're going to look into what's been going on with Bitcoin lately, right? So we have some historical things that is a first time record breaking for Bitcoin that have happened recently. Starting off with, of course, we set an all-time high for the first time ever before the halving, right? We have the recently 2 days ago in March, we set the highest closing ever in Bitcoin's price history. We have set a new record as well in March, 7 green months in a row. That has never happened in Bitcoin's history. Then we're going to do an overall analysis on Bitcoin. We're going to look at the halving cycle. So we're going to take a look at the entire halving cycle and where we are. So if you guys aren't familiar with it, I did a post on the halving cycle where I broke it down into 5 different phases. And we're going to talk about where we currently are right now and what phase is next. We're going to talk about the funding rates, liquidations that we just recently had over the last 24 hours. The opportunities right now, which will lead us to also some trade setups. And of course, we're going to look at, it is a new month, so we're going to look at April. We're going to look at historical data for April, and it's also a new quarter, so we're going to be looking at some historical data for quarter 2 and what we could potentially be expecting in quarter 2. And then, of course, we're going to end it off with some Q&A. So if you guys have any questions that you guys want me to answer, you can drop it in the comments in the chat, the live chat, and I'll be happy to get those for you. So, like I said, we're covering a lot of stuff. We're going to try to get all of this covered in the next 60 minutes to keep this nice and short and sweet, right? So let's go ahead and dive in. And the first thing is, if you guys are not aware, we are officially about 17 days away from the halving event, Bitcoin's biggest event, right, guys? So, yeah, we're almost there. Because of that, we're expecting a lot of volatility this month. All right, so I wanted to start it off with that. That's why it is the first thing that you guys saw. Looking on to the overall market, let's just refresh it here really quickly. And you guys can see that pretty much majority of things are down overall over the last 7 days and over the last 24 hours. You can see Bitcoin's down about 6.25%, Ethereum down about 6.5%. And, you know, some other things are not down that much. We have Doge, which is actually up. We have a few like Cardano and Avalanche, which are down over 10% and 15%. Then we have Bitcoin Cash that's actually up 33% at $628. Guys, Bitcoin Cash was at like $100 just about a year ago. So that's already basically a 5x if you guys got in there during the bottom. And we have Litecoin also up over $100 finally. It was recently down as low as $60, I believe, a few months back. So, yeah, a lot of things have been going on here. Let's look at the top gainers and losers over the last week, and we can see one of the biggest gainers right now is Ondo, or on, I guess that's how you say it, right? That just broke into the top 100, and I think one of the reasons why this is has been picking up a lot of volume here is because the real world assets RWA sector, it's part of it. And as you guys know, BlackRock recently started announcing that they're going into that sector, right? They want to bring a lot of financial instruments and financial things onto the blockchain. So that's definitely a big sector that we're going to be taking a look at later on this year. That should be very popular, along with AI and you know, the usual L1s, L2s sectors that usually perform very well during bull markets and bull runs. So that's something to also, you know, if you guys aren't familiar with it yet, you know, maybe this is a good time to start taking a look into these things. Not saying that you should buy now that it's up 86%, but you should start definitely taking a look there. On the other end, we have some here that are down a lot, and I mean, overall everything's down. You'll notice that a lot of things like this, which are meme coins, they're always going to be very volatile. So dog with hat, you know, it's down 15%. If you would have looked at it probably a week ago, it was up a whole lot. So whenever things are up a lot, they usually overcorrect as well. So you know, with anything like this, like on those up 86%, you can expect this to probably overcorrect soon as well. So whatever goes up must go down. That's just the way that it is. So let's go ahead and take a look at the economic calendars to see what it is that's going on here, what we have coming up, which could, of course, affect the markets. The main thing here today, we had the job openings report that came out at I believe 8 a.m., 9 a.m. or 8 a.m. And I mean, I don't know if it's affecting the market, but the market is down today. Not only the crypto, but as well as the stock market. The next big thing that's going to come up is unemployment rates on Friday. And then the bigger thing is going to be the inflation reports that comes out next Wednesday. So that's something to keep an eye on, because that always impacts the market. Depending how inflation rates come out, that's going to, you know, probably lead to what we might see as far as when we see rate cuts. Remember, rate cuts are another thing that we're expecting this year, because when we do get those rate cuts, that's going to be very bullish overall for the market. Looking at the target rate probabilities here, you can see that we're expecting in May that next meeting for it to continue being paused. So being paused is fine. You know, it's not bullish, it's not bearish. But what we're waiting on is when that rate cut is going to come. So right now, the probability is to potentially see it in June. There's a 56% probability. So, I mean, that's pretty much a 50-50 shot. If this, for any reason, goes up, then we're going to see the market, you know, also follow it and also go up. So, and then if we look further down, we can see that definitely, you know, by the mid-year, they're expecting a rate cut. So that's pretty much what we're looking at here. And by September, they're expecting right now at least 2 rate cuts by then. So we'll see what happens with that. Next, let's go ahead and let's look at Bitcoin now. Let's kind of jump into what has been going on with Bitcoin. I know that that's what the majority of people are going to be tuning in for today. And yeah, a lot's been going on, guys. Let me take a sip of water really quickly. So as you guys see, we have so far a massive red candle here on this is the daily, right? So over the last 2 days, and if we zoom out even more, over the last week, we're down currently about 8.35% so far this week. Now, remember, guys, we've had a massive run here. Look at this run. So let's just kind of to get an idea of what this run has looked like. If we start all the way from the bottom down here, all the way to the top, that's a 92% move, right? So that bottom price there, that was back in January, right? When we bottomed out at around 38,500. So that was that last major pullback there. Since then, we've had a major run up 92%. So that's wild, right? And that's in about 2 months' time. So after that, we've recently had a pretty big pullback. So this is one of the bigger pullbacks that we've seen. Let's see. Back here in January, we saw a pullback of 21%. And now most recently, we saw a pullback of about almost 18%. And now, in the last week, we've seen a pullback of about about 10%. So guys, remember, this is nothing out of the norm for Bitcoin. We always see a lot of pullbacks very similar to this during bull markets, right? So this is nothing out of the ordinary. If we look back, you're gonna see many pullbacks beyond this. So, you know, I think I have a chart where I charted this. Let's try to see if we can find it really quickly. No, I think I might have. Let's see. Nah, I don't have it. So I think I removed it. But just know that looking back in history, looking back into last year, the average pullback last year was about 21.5%. The average pullback in 2020's bull run was also about 21.5%, right? So now the way that to think about this is that, and let me switch over here. The way that I look at these pullbacks as we go forward in Bitcoin's lifespan, right? The same way that we're expecting diminishing returns as the price goes up higher, I'm also expecting diminishing pullbacks, if that makes sense. So basically, if you look at the chart, right, if we kind of zoom out and let me once again go to its historical time index, and you're gonna see a lot of drawings on these, and we'll look back on these in a little bit, and I'll discuss these drawings, right? You're gonna see a lot. This looks like a mess. Hold on, let me go to a different chart. All right, I can work with this one. So if we look at this chart, let me remove that. If we look at this chart here, and we start to draw out its moves during the bull runs, right? So we had this move here, 800%. So I don't know where this move started, so let's not even count that one. Hold on, because this only shows from 2013, October 2013 forward. So I'm not gonna count this one. So let's start over here in 2015, after it bottomed out, right? Once we got that first green candle, look at that move, 8,700%, right? Then we do it again for 2019, all the way to the top, 315%. And in that next bull run here, 1,400%, right? So we could pretty much get rid of this one because this was not a bull run. That was just kind of a bounce there from the bottom. So this was a bull run here. This was a bull run here. So look at the big differences here, right? 8,700%, 1,400%. That's a big difference. So we're expecting during this bull run kind of something similar, right? If we're saying that this bull run began, let's say, I'm not gonna say it began at the bottom once we bottomed out. let's say, right here where this first green candle on the monthly was, so far we're up 195%, right? How high can we go? Let's say if we hit $100,000, that would be about 300%. If we were to hit $200,000 this bull run, that would be about 700%. Let's just say that we hit $200,000, which is an insane number, right? But look at how the returns are diminishing. 8,000, 1,500, 700, right? Those are diminishing returns, and we can pretty much expect every bull run going forward for these returns to diminish even more, right? So if we're expecting diminishing returns every single time as Bitcoin's grows and matures, we're also expecting diminishing pullbacks. And I think we could potentially, we might be able to see that as well. Let's see from here down. This was an 85% pullback. From here down, this was 84. From, let's see where the top was here. From here down, this was 77. So, it has slowly diminished as well. 85%, 84%, 77%. Maybe the next one is going to be 70% or something like that, right? And if you take a look at, during the bull runs, if you take a look at the pullbacks during bull runs, you're going to see the same thing. I'm not going to do all of those because it's going to take too much. It's going to take up too much time, but you're going to see the same thing, right? We're getting diminishing pullbacks every single time, the same way that we're getting diminishing returns every single time. So with that in mind, taking a look now at where we are, if we go into the weekly, I'm expecting the same thing for these pullbacks to be diminishing. So if during the last bull run, the average pullback was about 21.5%, and last year the average pullback was 21.5%, I'm thinking that, during this bull run, the pullbacks are probably going to be less than what we saw previously, right? So I'm expecting, us to be under that 21.5% during this bull run, which that's basically what we've seen so far. We saw this pullback here be 17, let's say 18%, and the current pullback that we're seeing over the last few days, we're at around 10%, right? Now, we did get a pullback in January of 21.5%. So I think at the end of the day, when we look back a year or 2 years from now, we're going to end up averaging below 21.5% is basically what I'm thinking, right? So pullbacks anywhere between 10 to 20%, I think those will probably be great opportunities, great buying opportunities. And this leads me to my next point about these pullbacks. These pullbacks are amazing opportunities during a bull run, guys. So you want to make sure that during these pullbacks, whenever we get these massive, moves down of 10% and beyond, guys, these are great buying opportunities. So what I have been doing personally is something that I covered in one of my videos 3 months ago. So 3 months ago, I did a video on how I was playing this bull run, right? And if we go to YouTube videos, to my channel, if we go to videos here, this video right here, my easy strategy to earn $1 million in crypto in 2024. So what that video basically covered was how I was using these pullbacks plus leverage to maximize my returns during this bull run. So basically what I'm doing is anytime that I see big pullbacks like this, I'm building leveraged positions to the upside where I'm making sure that my liquidation prices are very, very far away. So the way to make sure that I don't get liquidated, and then I'm letting those positions run for, the extent of the bull cycle is the idea. right? So I began doing this during this pullback here, 21% pullback, right? So in that video, I discussed that if we could average an entry of around $40,000 to $42,000, we only need like $4,000 to build up a position big enough where our liquidation price would be, around $32,000, which was a price that I didn't think Bitcoin would return to. And now I can look back at this and say I was right about that, right? So right now my liquidation price on my positions where I started was around 35,000. As the price moved up and we got more pullbacks like this one here, I added to my positions because now I'm not worried about liquidations. My liquidation price now, since I've added to my positions here, now is up to like $42,000. Again, Bitcoin's price during this bull run is not going to hit $42,000. I have zero worries about liquidations at this point. Now, if I was starting over, right, from and opening a brand new position, I'd be looking for pullbacks like this where, they're beyond 10%, beyond 17%. Make sure I have enough funds where I can cover a drop, where my liquidation price would be below 60,000. I'd be looking for liquidation price probably in the area of $53,000 to $55,000. At least below 58 is what I would want. And as Bitcoin's price starts moving up, then I could start adding to my positions on, the next pullbacks where it brings my liquidation price up from, let's say, if I'm at 58, it'll bring it up to like 60, because at that point I don't see Bitcoin's price dropping down that low, etc. So guys, what I'm saying is these are great opportunities to buy these dips. Like, you don't have to be a day trader. You don't have to know how to trade. You don't have to, know all these things. During a bull market, it's pretty simple to make money. You just gotta make sure that you have a strategy and a plan. And I recommend you guys to watch this video to get an idea on how to build that strategy and that plan. So that's basically what I've been doing here during these pullbacks here, and I think that that's the easiest money you're probably ever gonna make. And if you just leave the position open until let's say $100,000, for example, you're gonna make so much more money than you've ever made trading probably. So I recommend you guys to watch that video. Now let's talk about a few things. Recently, we just had a new month close and a new month open. We also had the previous quarter close and a new one opening. So let's talk about a few historical things that just recently happened here with the price. First off, let's look at the monthly here. Bitcoin's price closed at $71,400. That is the biggest monthly close in Bitcoin's history, right? We've never closed that high. It's crazy. It closed above the previous all-time high, and we're not even at the halving yet. That's the crazy part about this, guys. So we've closed officially above that, right? The other historical thing that we've done, other than break new all-time highs before the halving event, is we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 green months in a row. Guys, that has never been done. Let's look back. I did set up a chart for this one on Kraken here. If we look back here at Bitcoin's history, you can see I went back, I checked all of them, right? You can see during this bull run, we had 6 green candles before a red candle. In 2019, after we bottomed out, we had 5 green candles before a green candle. In 2020 bull run, we had again 6 green candles before we got a red candle. And right now we're at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 green candles. Now, are we gonna get a red candle this month? There's a possibility, because if we look you can see that there was eventually always a pullback right after these big run ups. You see, we had a 8.5% pullback after the 6 green candles there. Here we had a 6% pullback on that 6 month. Here, after 6 months in a row, we had about 2% pullback before a bigger pullback here. This was a 35% pullback. So now you can't just take it. You have to take this information with a grain of salt, because you have to think about where we were in the Bitcoin cycle during those pullbacks, right? So looking here in 2016 all the way to 2017, we were in the midst of the bull run, right? So we had in 2016 we had the halving event, and then we had this parabolic move up, right? And then we had a small pullback here and continuation up. If we look at when we had the 5 months in a row here, this was actually after we bottomed out, right, on Bitcoin's price. So it was shifting from a bear market into a bull market, but we still weren't in a bull market. And then we had the pandemic here in March, and then we had the Bitcoin halving and the bull market, right? So that's what happened during this time. At the point of this one here, this was the peak of basically when we were peaking in the bull run. So that's why we had this massive 35% correction, right? Before, going into that bear market. So here, I mean, we haven't even had the halving yet, right? So that's why it's so crazy, because this kind of situation has never really been seen. And that's why there's a potential, even though there is a potential that we see a red month in April, there's also the potential that we see another green month. And that even if we get a red month, it's not a big red month. It's something more like what we saw back here, right? In the beginning of the bull run, 2017. So, we have to we're trying to see it from all perspectives, right? We're trying to see it from all perspectives and try to figure out what the highest probability is here, right? That's the idea here. That's what we're trying to figure out. Now, with all that in mind, I want to talk about another data point that we have to take into account is how has Bitcoin's price done historically in April and historically in Q2, right? So that's two things that we need to look at. And to do that, we're going to look at Bitcoin's quarterly returns and Bitcoin's monthly returns, right? And I covered this already for my Discord group here yesterday. So let me pull it up really quick. So, and I see you guys in the chat. Thank you guys. If you guys are tuning in here, thank you guys for everybody in here right now. Let me say shout out to 300. Shout out to, man, I can't pronounce your name. I'm gonna say Ali Khan. I can't pronounce the rest of that, man, but a shout out to you. Ducky Dave, what's going on? And Artem. Artem says, and if you guys are in here, let me know in the chat right now. I'm gonna answer this question right now by Artem. He says, do you think Bitcoin's price can go down to $40,000 in the next months around the halving? I'm gonna tell you no, and I'm gonna tell you why really quickly. So, like we just spoke about, right? We spoke about the average pullback was about 21.5%, and I'm expecting that number to drop during this bull run. If we take a look, let's get rid of this. From the top to we dropped to about $60,000 here during that previous pullback 2 weeks ago. And that was an 18% drop. If you're thinking that we're going to hit $40,000, you're talking about just to get below 50,000, right? You're talking about a 33% drop. Let's say 45,000, that's about a 39% drop. And if you think we're going to go to 40,000, that's about a 45% drop, right? Has Bitcoin had these type of drops before in its history during a bull market? Of course, Bitcoin has had all sorts of crazy moves, right? But another thing you have to remember is that during those years where Bitcoin would have 30 to 40% drops, it was also moving up way more. It was having like 500% move. It would have like a 500% move up, a 50% drop, right? We're not getting those moves anymore like that. We're not going to see a 500% move up in one shot, where then it will get a 50% pullback. That does not exist. So because we're going to be getting diminishing returns, I'm also expecting diminishing pullbacks. So can it drop 33% to, below 50,000? I mean, it is a possibility. Remember, anything's possible with Bitcoin, but the odds of that happening, I would say, are below 10%, probably even below 5% at this point in time. Because unless there's some sort of black swan event, I don't see that happening, right? We need it would not happen just because, right? It's the market's not going to drop 30% for no reason. It would need to be, another FTX event for that to happen, for us to drop back down below $50,000. We would need an FTX type of catastrophe, right? A massive exchange that's a leader in the crypto world would need to fall, would need to crash, would need to go bankrupt in order for a massive drop like this to happen. I just can't see that happening right now. Right now, we've been getting Grayscale, who has been selling almost $1 billion per day. And even with that happening, Bitcoin hasn't been getting any massive pullbacks. So, that's, I would say if I had to give odds to this, what the probability of a 30% or more drop is, what the probability of Bitcoin ever going back to $40,000 is, and not ever, but at least during this bull run, I would say that probability is under 5%. I just don't see that happening. Right now, what I believe the bottom is, I think the bottom is already in during this pullback, which is here, $60,000. And that's a bottom that I called, before it even happened. And I believe that if we saw any levels below that, it will probably be this right here, which was around $59,000, maybe $58,000. And at $58,000, that would put us at a 21.5% pullback, which is in line with this massive pullback that we saw here in January, and in line with the average pullbacks we saw last year and the average pullbacks we saw during the previous bull run. So I would say for $58,000, the probability of that, maybe 40-30% for that to happen, because I do think that there's a good chance that the bottom could be in. Now, with that said, right, there always is that probability where it could go lower. In crypto, you never know. I can't tell the future, guys. All I'm doing when it comes to these type of things, I am putting different scenarios together. I'm thinking I'm not thinking in terms of absolutes. I'm thinking in terms of probability. What are the chances of something like this happening? Because there's a possibility for it to happen, but what's the probability of that scenario happening is how I'm thinking about these things, right? And when I'm thinking about it, that's from my personal experience, from what I'm looking at, what I'm seeing in the charts, from what I believe, which is diminishing returns, the same way that we're getting diminishing pullbacks, the same way we're getting diminishing returns. That's kind of where my head is at. That's kind of where the confluence points to, right? All right, so let's take a look at. Let me see. Oh yeah, we're looking at April. Sorry, I got derailed a little bit. So let's pull up the chart here. We're at the 39-minute mark. We got about 20 more minutes. So Bitcoin quarterly returns. Let's start with Bitcoin monthly returns, right? So in April, historically, Bitcoin has been green 7 out of 11 years during April. Similar to, and we'll talk about quarter two now, but similar to quarter two results, two of the red Aprils in its history have been during bear markets, right? So we have to remember, right now we're in a bull market. So in April, Bitcoin has had 4 red months in total. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 of those have been during bear markets. So of course, Bitcoin's more likely to have a red month during a bear market. And yes, we're currently red. But if we look at the years that have been during the halving cycle, the halving year, which also happens to be election year, Bitcoin during those years has been green. So 2016, green. 2020, green, right? So far, 2024, red. So we have to take into account, the other thing, which is that we've had 7 months in a row of green. Are we gonna make it 8 months in a row? Like we've already broken a record. Is it gonna keep going? I don't know. I think that it's gonna be tough to have a green month here because we've had 7 in a row. Because the halving is this month, there's gonna be a lot of volatility. I think based on that, we're probably gonna have kind of a break-even month or a smaller red month is what I'm kind of thinking overall. But on average, historically, you can see that Bitcoin has a return of about 13.5% in April. Now, if we look at the Bitcoin quarterly returns, it's going to look very similar to April. Historically, Bitcoin has been green 7 out of 11 quarter twos. 2 of the red quarter twos in Bitcoin's history was during bear markets. Take out the 2 bear markets and Bitcoin has had a green quarter two 78% of the time, just like April. Add in halving year and election year, and Bitcoin has had a green quarter two 100% of the time. The average quarter two return has been 27.2%. So again, you have to take everything with a grain of salt. Now, unlike the April historical numbers, plus what's currently going on and what I think, which I think April probably will be a small red month. I think for quarter two, we will most likely be green. Now, if we look back in 2020, we were green every single month. If we look back in 2016, the year of the halving, we had 2 quarters that were green. And the previous year, every single quarter was green. It was, I think, the only year ever that we had every quarter green. You can see in 2020, quarter one was red. Of course, we had the pandemic, so we can't really, we have to take that with a grain of salt. Every other month, every other quarter after that was green. And in 2021, the year after the halving, we had 3 out of 4 quarters were also green. So I do believe that we most likely get a green quarter two. But again, we have to think in terms of the overall picture, because I feel like the phases of and the way Bitcoin's price is moving is a bit ahead of where it's ever been historically during the same time, right? And we can see that with Bitcoin hitting an all-time high before the Bitcoin halving, which has never happened. So with all that taken into account, let's take a look now at, again, we're trying to fill in pieces of the puzzle. Let's see last time that we were in a similar situation, what happened, right? So in order to find that, we have to go to the last time we broke the all-time high, which was back in 2020. So this was towards the end of 2020 after the Bitcoin halving. You can see I already have this drawn up. When we initially, if you guys remember, the 2017-2018 bull run all-time high was $20,000. So when we initially hit $20,000 again and set up, a new all-time high, it took, let's see, about 21 days is what it looks like here. 21 days, so about 3 weeks before we saw continuation to the upside and new highs there. And we had two pullbacks. We had a 16% pullback. We had a 12% pullback. So we had the original pullback, and then we got one more pullback before price went up. So if we think that we're seeing something similar here, kind of compared to that, let's see. We have, I need the time. Let me see. So let's get date range. So we hit a new all-time high over here. Let's say right here, right? So this week we get to that 21-day, 3-week range, right? Which is similar to what happened last time. It took 3 weeks before Bitcoin finally continued up. This week is gonna be 3 weeks, right? We got a pullback of about 17.8%, that's very familiar to what happened over there. It was 16.8. And now we're getting a second pullback here. So the second pullback has been about 10.2%. Again, very similar to the other one. We got a second pullback, which was about 12% before it then continued to the upside. So does this mean that this week, after this pullback is when we get a continuation up? It's a possibility, right? Not saying that that's what's going to happen, but it is a possibility. That's what happened last bull run when we were around the same area of price, meaning not that we're at $20,000, but that we're at a previous all-time high and consolidating within that previous all-time high. So now, I don't like to just look at that. Let's also look at the next thing, which is where we are in the halving cycle, right? So now let's pull up the all-time index where I made all these wonderful drawings for you guys. See. All right. So this is the drawing I made for you guys. These are the 5 phases of the Bitcoin halving cycle. So phase 1 is pre-halving accumulation. right? So what happens here? Basically, price has bottomed out from the bear market, and we have a small move up, and then we just kind of have a big accumulation period there. This is where people are accumulating for the next phase. That next phase is the pre-halving rally, right? You can see here we had a massive move to the upside. That was the pre-halving rally phase. So what happens after that is the pre-halving pullback. As you guys can see, that's exactly where we are right now. We're in the pre-halving pullback. Let me move this up here. There we go. And let me also move this one up. Whoops. There we go. Now, what happens after the pre-halving rally? That's when we go into post-halving accumulation. So that's going to be, at the end of this month, beginning the new month, when we already see, once we get the halving, usually Bitcoin goes into an accumulation phase, similar to the pre-halving accumulation, right? The same way we accumulated here, it typically accumulates here. On average, it takes around 91 days. You can see the pre-halving pullback usually on average is around 35 days. So that's the next one. We're currently in the pre-halving. And then after that is, of course, the post-halving rally, which is usually where we get the parabolic move for Bitcoin. So that's broken down as simple as possible, right? And if you want to test this, just go back to the previous ones and just do the same thing. Pre-halving accumulation, right? Accumulated for a long time. Pre-halving rally, right? 63 days before usually. Then we had the pre-halving correction. This ended up happening 2 weeks before the 2 weeks before the halving. Then we had a post-halving accumulation. This happened for 70 days. Then we had the post-halving rally. And as you guys can see, the rest is history. That lasted about a year, 385 days. If you want more proof, go back to the halving before that in 2016, right? We had the same exact setup. Pre-halving accumulation phase, pre-halving rally happened about 42 days before. Pre-halving correction happened about 2 weeks before again. Then we had a post-halving accumulation that lasted 147 days. Then we had the post-halving rally, lasted about a year. So now you guys see, that this is how we've created the 5 phases of the halving cycle and the bull run. So, taking all of this into account, I'm expecting the rest of this month, to potentially just kind of continue consolidating here. That's why I'm saying that I think that we probably do end April in the red, even though it might be a small pullback. I just think that there is a high probability that we end below where we opened, which was $71,000, the highest price that Bitcoin's ever opened at. And then we go into, for the next few months, into this accumulation, post-halving accumulation area, where we accumulate, anywhere between the recent all-time high we just set, which was at, the high was around $74,000, and the low, which is going to be around $60,000, some accumulation around there. And then eventually we get that post-halving rally to the upside. So that's pretty much how I am seeing this play out here over the next few months, just based on how Bitcoin has, done in the previous 2 halvings. So with that said, where we are right now, we've have $500 million have been liquidated from the market. Funding rates have been reset. If you guys look at these funding rates, whenever they get really bright yellow or orange, we usually get a pullback in price. You can see it happened here, March 5th. If we go back to March 5th, let's go back to the daily here. So March 5th was here. You can see March 4th, we had this massive run up. March 5th, we got this massive move to the downside. If we look at it when it got really bright again, March 9th, you can see March 9th, we're around here, and very soon after, we got this pullback all the way down here. And then it heated up recently again here, March 31st. So March 31st was this last green candle before we got these two big red candles. So, you know, these things alone are not going to tell you when, but they give you an idea when we might get a pullback. So these are always interesting to watch as well. Let's look at some trade setups, and if you guys have any questions about anything that we've covered here so far, or just anything in general, put it now in the live chat, and I'll go over it, and I'll get those questions answered for you if I have an answer for you, of course. If I don't have an answer, then I can't give you an answer, right? All right, we have 5 minutes left, guys. So right now, the only thing I'm doing, any pullbacks I am buying, right? So my most recent entry is here at $65,000, which is where we currently are. And I'm a ladder in my entries. So I'm risking about 1% there. Then I'm going to enter again a second entry around here, this little zone right here, which is around $63,000. If we go down to $60,000, I'm going to have another entry there. So I'll probably set it up around $61,000 just to make sure that it gets triggered. I don't want to set it at $60,000 and then not get triggered. And my final entry is probably going to be sitting around $58,000. That would be in the scenario where we sweep this low here, and that I would guarantee gets bought up very, very fast, and price just, you know, rockets back up. So that's pretty much how I'm setting up my entries here. And the way I'm taking profit is just on the way back up, right? If I'm entering my first entry here at 65, you know, I'll take profit at 67 or 68. 70 is another area. Look, you can see here, it's a big area of interest. 72, you can see, is where it was topping out. And of course, 74, previous all-time high. And I'm gonna leave about, you know, 10 to 25% of my position with a trail stop to hopefully, you know, watch it continue going up. So that's pretty much it, guys. That's how simple I am keeping my trades for now. Keeping them as simple as possible. You don't have to be a day trader. You don't have to be have 10 plus years of trading experience. You could keep it as simple as that. Ladder your entries as price falls beyond a 10% pullback. Just enter, ladder entries in, and then as Bitcoin recovers, which it will, it's only a matter of time. It's not if, but when, then you start taking profits. That's pretty much it, guys. We're at the hour mark. If you guys have any questions, I know I covered one question already. If you guys don't have any other questions, make sure that you subscribe to the channel, guys. Make sure that you drop a like on the video. Last thing I wanna cover with these last 3 minutes that I have here is how our trading group has been doing. We have been killing it, guys. I am not gonna lie to you. Let's take a look here. I'm gonna pull up the numbers here on the trade group. Give me a second. Let me make sure you guys are seeing it. Nope. Boom, here we go. All right, so let's start off with my favorite, guys, which is the options signals. And you'll see very quickly why it's my favorite, because I'm up 70% on the year in 3 months. I have 61 winning trades and 1 losing trade with a 98.39% win rate. You can see here in January, I made about a 23% return. In February, about a 24% return. In March, it was a little slower. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. We got our first loser, but we still made money, up 11.3%. And in April, and in March, we lost that trade, guys, and it was so annoying. Because if I would have held one more day, that trade ended up turning green. It would have been a winner. Some of the people in our group did catch it and continue their 100% win rate, but I unfortunately ended up closing it because I literally sold the bottom, which I shouldn't have done. But I woke up one morning in sweats. Right, I looked at my position. I was down $12,000, and I was like, "Let me just cut this loser already. No point in keeping it open. Let's live to fight another day." And then, of course, the next day that shot all the way back up. It would have been a winner, but I cut it, and I was able to make some of that money back. So I'm fine with it. And now we're just gonna learn from that and keep going forward. But as you guys saw, we still ended up making money in March. Now let's take a look at our trading. So this is more like our day trading. And year to date, we're up about 60%. Now these numbers are a little bit different because of the way that we take profits, but overall our win rate is at around 70%. You might not be, your profit is probably not going to be 60%. It'll probably be closer to around half of that. So I would say this would be the max profit. So unlike the options, this is the max profit here. In the options, that's the actual profit I am right now. Here, this is the max profit that you could be at if you traded everything perfectly. The next thing that I want to show you guys, I can't see it here, but I can see it on Cornix. Hopefully it's logged in. Let's see real quick. Let me see if this is logged in really quickly. It looks like it is. Yeah, it is. Let me put it back here on Cornix. So let's go to closed trades. So far, I've been testing this out with $1,000, and you can see in about a month and a half, I'm up $400 or about 40%. All right, we started this mid-February, so we're up about 40%. And what this is we've set up an algorithm in our Discord and then we set up a auto trading bot that executes the trade for you guys. So it's very simple. This is set and forget, guys. This would have been 40% in about a month and a half without you guys even really paying attention to it, without you guys doing anything other than setting it up. So this has been very, very, very lucrative here. The next move here, and I'm gonna be doing a video on this, but the next move here is gonna be putting $10,000 in it, and then kind of doing the same thing, let it run for about a month, 2 months, few months, and see how it performs with more money, which I expect it's gonna be the same thing. Not the same return, but whatever happens with $1,000, it's gonna happen with $10,000. So for example, if I had $10,000 right now, it would have been $4,000, right? Because it's a 10x. If I had this doing it with $100,000, this would be $40,000, right? Et cetera, et cetera. So, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Those are the three signals that we basically provide. So if you guys are interested in doing any of those, guys, we give you guys a 7-day free trial, right? And the reason why is because it takes probably a few days to understand how things work, understand how to set things up, and so that you can see for yourself that you're gonna make money, you're going to make profit. Like, that's how I am so confident in this. Because it's not only making me money, but it's making everyone in our group money. That's why I'll give you guys 7 days for free. And another thing I'll give you guys, when you do pay, I'll give you guys 50% off in your first month. Because, guys, you're gonna make money. I know it. So I know you're gonna stick around. It's only a matter of time. So if you guys want 50% off, you guys want to try it out. First of all, you can try it 7 days for free, no charge. If you don't like it, it's fine. Just cancel before the membership, before it charges you, right? Before the 7 days. If you guys want to stay on, then I'll give you your first month with a discount, 50% off, to help you guys get started and making money, and to make sure that this covers the fee for you guys. So you guys can use the discount code 50% off. Sign up, get 50% discount. Try it for 7 days free. If you don't like it, cancel. No hard feelings. It's not going to be for everyone. If you do want to continue, 50% off your first month to make sure that you get started and that you make money. So that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I will see you guys on the next one. As always, peace and love, guys.